Hi, everybody. I am so excited you are with us today. My name is Gina Whitehouse. I am the creator of YouAreMoreThanMom.com. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a successful business from home, and I'm a mom of two and a wife, and I'm here today with Rachel Crawford. I'm so excited. She has two businesses. One is called Teamotions, and the other is Heal by Choice. So thank you so much for being with us today. And why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about you?
Hi, thanks for having me. It's my privilege to be here. So I currently live in Virginia, so I'm on the East Coast, but that's because my husband is military. He's a Marine Corps pilot and an officer, and we've been bouncing coast to coast for over 10 years now. Maybe over 12 years now. And so one of the reasons why I even started my businesses to begin with was I needed something that I could take wherever my husband went, so that wherever his career led us, I didn't have to give it up. I could take it with me. I'm also a mom. I have two boys that I'm raising, a 10-year-old in 5th grade, a first grader who's 6, and, busy life with two boys. I'm constantly banishing them to the basement to wrestle, not in front of me in the living room. I grew up in Southern California, so that was my original home. My family's there, but I do enjoy, there's parts of the moving that I love, parts that are challenging, but I just embrace it. So having a business has helped, though. It keeps me grounded and provides me with a sense of purpose in the midst of all of the chaos.
That's great. And I like how your business can travel with you wherever you go.
As long as I have an internet connection, I'm good.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, well, why don't you tell us just a little bit about what you used to do before you were a mom?
So, I have a degree in political science, so I did get to go to college and get an education, which I consider a blessing. I think that shaped who I am. And then after I got out of college, though, I became a personal trainer because, one, I've always seemed to gravitate towards being self-employed. I like to own my own business, own my own time, but also I needed something that would go with my husband. So no matter where we would get stationed, no matter where we'd move, I could do this job. And also have some availability for him to be around when he was home, things like that. And so, that's really was my first official career, I guess you could say. But then I got pregnant super quick. And so my career really became stay-at-home mom, kind of faster than I anticipated. So we had this whole plan, how long we're going to wait to have kids. And before I knew it, poof, my older son was coming into the world. So change plans.
All right. Well, why don't you go on and now tell us a little bit about your business and what you do?
So I'm the co-founder and CBO of a company called Teamotions and also the founder of another business called Heal by Choice. But Teamotions is the company that I've had the longest, and my sister and I actually own the company together. But Teamotions sort of came into existence in 2009 after my twin baby daughters died in 2008. And as a grieving mom, I was trying to figure out how to survive that season of grief. What tools, what support system, what's out there that I could use to lean into this season of grief, because I knew it wasn't going to be a quick season. And I had no idea how to begin, but I just started literally Googling, grief support, grief tools, all these things. And sadly, I found nothing. Outside of a handful of support groups, maybe, there was nothing. And my doctor kept telling me that I should get on antidepressants, and I just felt that wasn't the right choice for me. And instead of, becoming frustrated and angry and giving up, my sister and I decided to start a company that would fill that void. And where there was no tools and support at the time, we wanted to create a company that offered those tools and support. So Teamotions is a tea company, essentially. We blend all of our teas, so these are like hot teas that you drink, with herbs called adaptogens. And adaptogens are amazing herbs that have the ability to restore strength and stamina, restore balance. They boost your immune system, but basically they strengthen your body against stress. So anything that is going on in your life that is taxing you, depleting you, stressing you out, these adaptogen herbs help to strengthen your body's response so it can cope more efficiently and effectively with stress. And we launched that line of teas in 2011.
Wow.
To the country, and now we sell them all over the country in a couple of different, even internationally. But we don't just sell our teas. We teach people how to use them as self-care tools. So whether you're you have a newborn at home and you're exhausted, or you're going through some very difficult life event, the teas are part of a plan, of a support system you can build that actually strengthens you emotionally, physically, and mentally to be able to face what you're going through.
That's very good. Well, why don't you tell us more too about your cruise retreats that you're doing?
Right. So Heal by Choice cruise retreats are they're actually really neat. So I created an opportunity for people who are grieving, essentially, if you've lost a loved one. And in the future, we will also have more retreats that will focus on different types of loss, like divorce, financial loss. We don't only experience loss in the form of death. There are many types of losses in our life, and learning how to heal from loss is a very important life skill, because no human being gets out of life without losing things. And those losses affect us all differently. So Heal by Choice cruise retreats is my way of getting people to go spend 6 days and 5 nights doing nothing but focusing on healing their hearts. So they meet other people on a similar journey. They receive all kinds of curriculum and classes that give them the skills that they need to get to know their hearts better. And then when they decide they want to choose healing, how to create an action plan where they can walk out that healing, and not just when they're on the retreat for life. They leave equipped, they leave inspired. We help them restore hope if they are struggling, with believing that healing is even possible for them. We give them a support system, but everything that we do at Heal by Choice is predicated, on the truth. We don't allow platitudes and cliches. We don't minimize people's pain by sprinkling it with, fairy dust. We help people learn how to lean in to what's going on and then be proactive instead of reactive, because at the end of the day, like, our hearts are our responsibility and healing is our choice. But we need a support system to make those really hard choices. And Heal by Choice is sort of the first step in that support system.
Very good. Wow, that's amazing. I think that's really neat. And I think, like we talked before we started recording this interview, we talked about you saw a need and you filled it, which is really amazing. And you took the experience that you had, and now you're able to go and help other people go through some similar experiences and heal like you have, which is just awesome. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about maybe some of your top tips on how to find support? And it can not only be about, if you've gone through some kind of grief, but going from, working, youaremorethanmom.com is all about women who, it's a group community of women who were working, in a professional career, and now they're at home because they've decided to stay at home. But let's face it, there are days when we might not feel like we're even using our skills anymore. We're not doing anything worthwhile, even though we are moms and we are at home and we are doing the most important calling and thing that God has for us. There's still sometimes something that feels kind of empty, or we want to do more. And sometimes we get so down on ourselves that we really need to reach out to someone, but we're not. We shelter ourselves and think this is what our life's going to be like our entire lives, and it really isn't.
Sure. Well, I think one of the most important sort of truths or facts about being stay-at-home mom to realize, almost sort of about being a human, is that we are not built or made to do this journey all by ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, even our very human spirit was created to be in relationship with others. So anytime we, one, think there's something wrong with us because we need help, we have to be very careful. We have to change that, tape that's playing in our head, because everybody needs help. Help is not a sign of weakness. Help is a sign of wisdom, because it means we've become aware of our limits and we are deciding to be proactive about recognizing those limits, not pretending like they don't exist. Especially as moms, there are times when, I was stay-at-home mom myself for a long, long time. Even now that I have a job, I'm a work-from-home, stay-at-home mom, so I still have all of the obligations and demands of a stay-at-home mom with a company that I try to run from my home. And, I remember back before I had my company, struggling with a sense of validation, with a sense of identity, like just wanting to feel like I was part of the human race, when what I really felt like was I was banished to my son's nursery to nurse him 13 hours out of the day, and wondering why I felt so alone. Do other women feel this way? Is there something wrong with me, that this isn't the best time of my life?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I decided to reach out and ask for help that I realized I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. I'm not a bad mom. You know, I'm actually very normal and healthy, and lots of moms feel this way. And so when we ask for help, when we engage in community, it's just that validation that says, like, I'm not weak. I'm not bad at being a mom. I'm just human and I have limitations. But what asking for help will look like for each one of us will be different because we each have different needs. Like, I'm very extroverted, so I needed social interaction. I really enjoyed meeting up with a mom for an adult conversation while our children played, or finding a way, you know, to get 45 minutes worth of babysitting so that I can engage in something intellectual or something that just stimulated, you know, my brain in a certain way, where other moms are different. So they're going to need help and support in different ways. But what we need to own as moms is our heart is our responsibility. It's not our husband's job, society's job, our mother-in-law's job to somehow make this all easier for us. We need to know our heart and then be brave enough to ask for what we need, to formulate that action plan that says, I choose to be proactive, not just throw up my hands and say, forget it, this is hard, I hate this, you know, and I'm just going to suffer all by myself. Especially when that little bit of help gives us such a boost that we're like, oh, now I can do this. Now I can get through the season. You know, now I can survive my colicky baby or my insane 2-year-old who's going through a really crazy fit phase, or whatever the case is. You know, we all have a different journey. And so I don't believe in a one-size-fits-all mentality. Like, we actually have to be mindful and go, what kind of action plan can I take responsibility for myself? Because asking for help is not weakness. It's wisdom. And as moms, we need to be wise.
Very, very good. I wrote that down. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. I'm going to quote you on that many times. Share it all over social media. That is so good. And I love also, our heart is our own responsibility. It really is. And it's our responsibility to guard our heart. Right? Our life is going to flow out of our heart. You know, that's what
it is. You know, and it's important to make a distinction between a responsibility to and a responsibility for. Our heart, we are responsible for our own heart. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a responsibility to our children's heart, our children's hearts, our husband's hearts. Just like our husband and kids have a responsibility to ours, we need to be loving and respectful. We need to communicate. We need to do all those things that, you know, healthy, good people do. But at the end of the day, it's not somebody else's job to take care of your heart. And I think especially as stay-at-home moms, especially when our husband is like our first link to the outside world, it's very easy to put a lot of responsibility on him. Why didn't you help me more? Why didn't you listen to me more? Why aren't you aware? Don't you see how messy things are? There's a big, you know, pile of clean laundry right there. How come I have to tell you to fold it? You know, whatever the things are, that it's like, okay, we have to come up with a better plan here, because he's not me, I'm not him, and it is not his job to make me fulfilled. We've got to negotiate this. Just like it's not my children's job to make me fulfilled. I think that was my biggest epiphany. Not that I ever exactly thought that, but when I had that big epiphany of realizing, well, the reason why being a stay-at-home mom is not the most amazing experience ever is because it's not my children's jobs to fulfill me. And it's not my husband's job to fulfill me. These are just aspects of my entire life. Because I'm also an individual woman who has a calling, who has talents, who has, you know, passions. And between me and God and all the people in my life that I love, you have to negotiate that. Because it doesn't just like fall on you from the sky. Ta-da! No, this is who I am. And everything's perfect, you know? And based on our personality, our background, our upbringing, we'll all find our niche in different ways, and we'll be more comfortable with some things, less comfortable with others. Like, we all deserve the right to find our own way. But even on our individual journeys, we don't need to travel alone. We need support. We need help. And asking for that help, recognizing our limits, is not weakness.
Mm-hmm. What are some ways that you find support for yourself?
The first thing I do is I make sure I pay attention to my heart, to be honest, and like make sure I know what's really going on, so that I don't misplace, you know, like, am I just bored, so I need a conversation, or am I lonely? Am I frustrated? Am I burned out? You know, especially with a husband who's in the Marine Corps, he'll go away for months at a time on deployments. And so sometimes I'll hit the wall pretty hard and I won't have that immediate support system around me. So I have to be very creative and going, okay, I'm going to kind of I've learned to be very brave in asking for help. Like,
Good.
I'll meet a girlfriend and she'll say, oh, I'm happy to help, watch your kids if you need to go to the dentist or whatever. I will call and ask. And
Good.
they're always surprised, oh, yes, sure, of course. I'm like, you said you would help, and I'm just as willing to reciprocate the favor. Sometimes you just have to jump in. I don't have 10 years to get to know people before I can,
Yes.
but at the same time,
Right.
I maintain healthy boundaries too. It's one thing to let somebody help you watch your kids for a dentist appointment. It's another thing to divulge in them your marriage struggles or things. Like, I leave that for professionals, for people that I trust. I'm very, so healthy boundaries are also very important.
Or start calling that person every single day of the week and say, can you watch him now? Can you watch him now?
Yeah, no, we like one dentist appointment probably every 6 months. And as you build different relationships, then that changes. If you get really close friends and, then that will adjust. And if not, and so I'm just always feeling it out. So I'm never afraid about letting it change. Like, what works for me today might not work for me tomorrow. And that's okay, because right now I'm just working on today. Tomorrow I will formulate another plan. Because I'm so extroverted, I definitely factor in time with other humans for conversation. I need conversation. Even if it's something completely wacky. I was asked to serve on this panel here, a community panel. And I'm there. I don't even know what the topic is. But I'll just meet people in my community. We'll get to talk about something, and so I know myself, where if you're not like me, that might sound horrifying to you, but you can find what fills you. So it's just being aware that okay, if I'm going to be pouring out all day, what's something that will pour back into me?
Yes.
A little bit.
I'm introverted, so I'm the opposite. But still, I have been purposely making time within my week where I can get together with a friend, because it is so easy for me to just stay in my house, bury my head in whatever needs to be done around the house, pick up the kids, come home, do work, whatever it is. I'm fine like that. But even as an introvert, after time, I notice it wears on me. I need to have adult interaction. I need to have a friend. I can't just depend on my husband. I can't depend on my kids. I need girlfriends, right? Just because we get married doesn't mean we get rid of our girlfriends,
Right.
So yeah, even as an introvert, I try to get coffee or go on a hike with someone, or, just find other relationships to invest in and vice versa. And
right. Well, I think we all have to remember that just because we become moms doesn't mean we stop being who we are.
yes,
Just giving birth to a child doesn't
I know.
make you somebody different.
Right.
It just makes you mom.
Yeah, and that's the role we're playing right now, and the role we play for our lives, but we have different roles. But at the end of the day, we are who God created us to be, and that's not going to change. We just go through that, and we put on our different hats in our different roles. So,
right. Well, and we have to reframe it. So, if our heart is longing to get back into the workforce, or to take skills that we know we've cultivated and put them to use, or maybe something completely different. It isn't even our past career, but we just think, man, I really would like to contribute in some way. We don't have to feel guilty as if that's us saying, I'm not fulfilled by my husband and kids.
Yeah.
It's apples and oranges. You can be incredibly fulfilled, but because you're your own unique person who God made with a plan and a purpose, you're of course going to have other longings, other yearnings, other passions. And it's not a statement about your fulfillment in your marriage and role as a mom. It's just saying I guess I'm a whole person, you know, and this one thing isn't going to fulfill every part of me. That's why life is about choices. We get to make those choices and go, well, in this certain season of life, I guess maybe I can only spend 10 hours a week doing something. And then once my kids, we talked about our little ones finally getting into school, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, it's amazing how much you can accomplish when they're in school. And now that changes things again. And as they move into different seasons of their life, we'll move into different seasons of our life. And it's, I mean, if I could honestly give any advice, I would think it's the ability to constantly adapt and figure out what is required, what kind of support system and insights, tools that you need to be able to be adaptable, because you don't get to have it all mapped out. You know, that's what I learned when my daughters died. Like, life just happens sometimes. There are things that you do not control, no matter how badly you want to, even if you do all the right things. I did all the right things. I took care of myself. I was aware. I was healthy. I had
Mm-hmm.
great pregnancy and childbirth for my previous son. Like there were no, it completely blindsided me. But there I was at a funeral for my own children, having conversations with myself going, how do I do this now?
Yeah.
This wasn't in the plan. I don't have this skill set. But what I learned is you can get any skill set you want. You just have to make a choice to do the work. You don't have to have it all figured out. It doesn't have to be all set up. If you want to move into a new career, you don't have to have a degree in it.
Yes.
If you see a need, you can fill it. And I promise you, especially with the miracle of the internet, you can find information on anything that you need. Which is such a wonderful time to even start a business or be an entrepreneur or move into a different field, because we're not limited by 5 options. If it means enough to you, you'll find a way.
Yeah.
I tell my kids all the time. If you see a need, I promise you're the right person to fill it. Because it's not about being perfect or perfect timing. It's about choices. We make choices to step into those things. And then we own those choices.
Amen. I can give you so many amens.
Yeah.
Amen, 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 amen. And just hearing you say that, it ministers to me, and I know it's going to minister to so many of the women who are listening to this. And I know from my own life, I went through a process of, I went to school for architecture for 5 years, and I thought that that's what I was always going to do. But I knew that when I had kids, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I didn't know if I wanted to do that. But I had in my mind that I was so stuck in this box because, and that's how you grow up. You go through high school, your schooling, and then you choose your career path and you go to college, and that's it. I think that's kind of what we're taught, or what do you want to be when you grow up, And we don't really, I don't even know right now even how to teach it to my children and say, you could be anything you want at different times in your life. You really can. You don't have to be stuck in that box that just because I went to school for this, that I'm going to do this. You said you have your bachelor's in political science and public relations, and now you have a company that sells these awesome teas that help people, and you're doing, the Heal by Choice cruise retreats. It's absolutely different. You used to do personal training, and again, absolutely different,
The only thing they all have in common is that people are involved in all of that.
Yeah, you're helping and caring for people, even through your personal training and stuff. You're helping and caring for people, helping them reach their goals, and get to where they want to be.
Yeah, well, and I think especially as moms, I think the one thing we should, our confidence should increase, when we become moms, because if we can handle a baby, we can do anything, so this whole idea that but I have to do it this way, or the first thing we learn with kids, no kid is the same.
Right.
One kid we had to learn, do it differently with another kid. If we can just harness those skills and that natural intuitive nature that just goes, hey, I'm just going to figure this out, and we put that into our career aspirations, we're unstoppable, but it's just getting used to that idea that, oh, I guess there isn't a perfect formula for this. There isn't a right or wrong way. The only way is the way that I choose.
Yeah. And that's hard for me because I am that person. I feel like if anyone could take a look at my brain, you'd just see a lot of mathematical formulas because that's the way I work. In my mind, I'm very type A. I'm very, I think A plus B should equal C. And I've been learning in the last year that, no, that's just not the way it is. That's not God's math.
Right.
Figure it out. Life is not a straight line. It is more of a up and down, and that's just the way it is. So we just have to be okay with the circumstances that happen around us, but we have the choice, like you said before, to rise above it. We have a choice to move forward, or we could have the choice to just wallow.
Right. And we need to recognize that it is a choice. We are making a choice. And I'm not saying that that is an easy choice to make.
No.
That's another reason why we need a plan and we need support and we need tools, because this really is a process. Making a choice is a process. But at the same time, it is a choice, and owning that accountability is a very important life skill to have, where we recognize there may be lots of things going on around me I cannot control, but I do control my response.
Yes.
To the things that I cannot control, and actually see that as a privilege and not a burden. Because just because something is hard doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
Lots of hard things. I was up all night for 9 months with my firstborn son. It was hard, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It's just life, but you learn to go, okay, like talk about asking for help, I was like, and I have slammed head on into a limit about, I can't do this anymore. So I made a plan. I figured it out. And then you draw from those things to gain a little bit more confidence to go, wow, look at me. Like I can figure it out. Not because I want to do it my own way, but because I know how to ask questions. I know how to ask for help. I know how to Google search things. I know how to read. I know how to inquire. I have people in my life who are mentors that I trust, and I bounce things off of them. Like it's part of a big, it's not a small little thing. It's part of a big structure that you build, but we don't have to know exactly how everything is going to turn out to step into something, because sometimes if we're not careful, we'll miss the process only looking for the end result.
Yes.
And sometimes it's the process, because that's what life is, right? We're born and we die, and somewhere in the middle life happens. But we actually get to determine the quality of that life. We might not be able to determine all the circumstances, but we get to determine the quality. And we give our power away when we start thinking, well, but it's supposed to go like this. Well, maybe it is supposed to go, but it might not go. So who are we? Like, what does it say about us when we respond? We get to decide that that's about our character. That's about our value system. Mm-hmm. It's not about A plus B equals C. It's about like, who are we trying to become? I was a basketball coach. I played sports in college or in high school, and then I went back to my high school to coach 2 seasons ago, and I actually got to coach with my former coach, and it was really fun.
Cool.
But one of the things I just pounded into the girls, like every single day, they're young, they're like 16, 17, 15, young girls, and they'd always say, you're old enough to be our mom, and I'd be like, I know, thanks for reminding me. But I was like, whoa, this is weird, because I don't feel that old. But anyway, but I just pounded in their head every day. You think that we're playing basketball, but what we're actually doing is learning about life. Like you think that we're learning plays, or we're going to go out and win, or we're going to run this or run that. I go, what I'm actually teaching you is how to win, how to lose, how to be loyal, how to stay committed, how to think about others, how to be a team player, all these things, right? So the process, so it seems like we're trying to get a trophy for a league championship. When in reality, if that was our only focus, we would miss all of these skills that are actually being accumulated by learning how to be a good person, learning how to work hard, learning how to be selfless instead of selfish, all of these things.
Right.
Because none of those girls were going to go on to college. It was a tiny little team. Like this ends after high school. But what they learn doesn't end. And as moms, raising our kids and our marriages, and then as businesswomen, as entrepreneurs, as career people, like we have a choice to go, I want to be shaped by this, and I want to determine how this is going to shape me. Not just when I'm 60, I want X amount of money in my retirement account. Like we can choose to make it more valuable than that. But that is our choice. It doesn't just happen. And I think people spend a lot of time, like they get later years in life looking back, realizing they miss an opportunity to become a certain kind of person rather than just accumulate certain types of things.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Again, amen, 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 amen. Everything you said, so good. All right, well, I think we're going to end it here, Rachel. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know that everybody listening to this is going to have so many takeaways and things to chew on and meditate on and soak in. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I can't wait to just keep in contact with you and just see what happens through your 2 businesses. So
thank you.
All right, have a great day, everybody. Thank you for listening. Bye.